If you want to be a world-class coach, it's vital that you realize that you are not responsible for your clients' results. Hey, it's me, Dax, again, still out here walking in this, hiking in this awesome canyon here in Sedona. Having a great day again. I'm always half naked, right? Kind of the naked coach. Jamie Oliver was the naked chef. I'm the naked coach. I've always got my top off because usually I'm in a really hot place and really sweaty. But anyway, what's this weirdness that I'm talking about? You're a coach and you're not responsible for your clients' results. Surely that goes against everything that you've ever been taught by pretty much everyone in the industry, right? We're pretty much told that you can judge your value, judge your merit, judge your worthiness as a coach. And in many respects, this extends into your worthiness as a human being by the results you get for people. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's one of the biggest fallacies there is in the coaching profession, and one of the biggest things that are holding back so many awesome and beautiful people from doing some awesome and beautiful work. See, it goes something like this. We start with our hearts full and we go into coaching with this idea that we're going to help hundreds and maybe thousands of people to change their lives with the unique skill set and gifts and perspectives on life that we possess, right? And you see, I don't think anyone just gets into coaching just to make money, right? It's kind of, there are far easier ways to make money. The reality is that most coaches don't make very much money at all, which is a real shame. But ostensibly that's the reason we get into this, right? We get into it to help people, and we start putting ourselves out there and trying to help people, and we find that a very small minority of them embrace everything that we share with them, and they get some great results, and we generally tend to lift our spirits on their results and say, wow, that's awesome, it's great for Mary that she did that, but look at what I did as a coach, I'm pretty awesome. And now the danger of that, the danger of tying up your self-esteem in your clients' results, is that you're probably going to find a very large number of them don't get anywhere near the kind of results you hope they would, and that very often it's got very little to do with you. Okay, that's not kind of absolving you of responsibility, and let's be very clear of something that I'm not saying here. I'm not saying that your clients shouldn't be getting results, or that you shouldn't be helping them to do your best and help them to do their best to get results. But let's be very, very clear on what your job really is. In Mind Map, we call them the 5 measurables. The 5 measurables. These are the actual things that you are responsible for bringing to each and every coaching session that you deliver. Clarity, direction, focus, strategy, and support. They're the 5 coaching measurables. You notice that none of them actually saying anything about a specific result, like a client must lose a certain amount of weight, or a client must make a certain amount of money, or they must make a certain amount of headway toward the achievement of one of their goals or their dreams. Clarity, direction, focus, strategy, and support. They become the 5 Mind Map measurables, because these are things that we do have a direct influence over. They're things that we can actually look at on a session by session, client by client basis, and say to ourselves, did coaching actually take place today? And as long as we can see at least one of the 5 M's in place, or at least one of those 5 measurables in place, then we've actually done some good coaching. And obviously the more of them in place, the better. See, because you can't get to a result without the clarity, the direction, the focus, the strategy, and the support to get there. That's the bit that we're responsible for. And that's the bit that we can always measure, we can always become accountable for. So again, we're not letting ourselves off the hook. But it's so important to realize, think of it this way. If you're a health coach or a personal trainer based coach, someone who's working with people on a physical transformation, you can't take responsibility for that client's results. How can you? The client has come to you and said that she wants to lose 30 pounds in the next 12 weeks. And if you were to take responsibility for her, you'd find yourself tucking her into bed every night, cooking her meals, standing over watching her while she eats them, making sure that she's walked enough steps today and that she's updating her Fitbit and nagging her and nudging her and doing all you can to make sure she feels in her job, all that kind of stuff. Is that somewhat of the experience that you're already kind of feeling right now, right? that you yourselves have become the one who seems to be accountable for the result. Well, how about you let that go? How about if you bring clarity, direction, focus, strategy and support into each and every one of your sessions? You make sure without a shadow of a doubt that one or more of them is present every single time you work with a client, and give them the tools that they need for them to go and get the results. Think they won't go for that? Think that you are actually accountable for that? I think you'll be really, really surprised. Nobody wants their freedoms taken away from them. And it's a big fallacy that people want to be told exactly what to do. But we'll talk about that in another video. Anyway, love to hear your feedback on that. Of all the things that I say around coaching, this is the one that gets most people's backs up. This is the one that causes them to scratch their heads the most, because we've been so indoctrinated into judging our value, judging our worth solely by the results that the client gets, that it seems completely, to use a very technical term, arse about face to suggest that the people that are paying us money are paying us for the results. They're not. Clarity, direction, focus, strategy and support. If you sell that, then even when your client isn't getting a result, you can look at yourself and say, hey, I showed up, I did what I was here to do. But I'm not going to hold them accountable for every minute step they do or don't take in their life. Anyway, that's enough rambling from me. While I get on with the serious business of the other kind of rambling, the hiking through this beautiful wilderness. Hope you've enjoyed this lesson. Take care.